I can't believe 2023 is almost over. Here we are in the first week of December, and that means I have all the data for your market update for the month of November. Hey everybody, it's your friend Kyle Winn, and if you've never seen any of my videos, I help people just like you buy and sell homes in places like Canyon Lake, Menifee, Lake Elsinore, and surrounding areas. If you have any questions about real estate right now or after you watch this video, you'll find my contact information somewhere around here in the description or comments or something like that. Now, I'm extremely excited to bring you this market update for Riverside County because not only are we going to talk about the local real estate market for November of 2023, but we're also going to try and look at some trends and try to predict what may happen for the rest of this year. Before we dive into all these fun details, I want to remind you that real estate tends to be very, very local, which means that what I tell you here today might be much different than what you've been hearing depending on where you live or where you get your news. Now, if you get your real estate market updates from national news sources, they tend to describe the real estate market of the entire country as a whole, but the market that I cover here in just a part of Southern California will certainly behave differently. So it's very important to consider local data and trends if you want to be successful as a buyer or a seller in any market. I want to talk about the number of new listings hitting the market each month, which was just over 2,400 for the month of November, which has gradually decreased from this year's peak in May at about 3,100 new listings. Now, while November saw the fewest number of new listings of any month so far this year, the number of new listings each month has remained rather constant in the mid to high 2,000s. Now, this is actually very different from recent years where the annual low in the wintertime might be just under 2,000 new listings, which would then ramp up and peak over 4,000 in late spring or early summer. Now, a more consistent flow of new listings may sound like a good thing, but the problem right now is that the overall number of new listings has been very low this year. Now, if you've been trying to buy a home over the last few months, you may have been having a hard time finding the perfect home because there just aren't many homes for sale. The number of monthly closed sales generally increased over the first half of the year to its peak in May at just over 2,600, but since then has declined to just 1,722 in November. Now, over the last 10 years or so, we would expect to see about 3,000 to 3,500 sales per month for this time of year, but the 1,722 closings we had in November was actually higher than the number of closings we saw last November. Now, some might think the market is just slowing down as we get into the holidays, and there is some truth to that, but I think the larger factors are the higher interest rates we've been experiencing all year and just the low number of homes that have been for sale. Now, there's nothing to buy, nothing is going to close if there's nothing for sale. The median number of days on market for properties here in Riverside County was 42 days in January and 44 days in February, which decreased to just 18 days the middle of this summer, and since then has held rather steady to November at 22 days. Now, I think it's fair to say that even though the number of home sales are down, homes are generally selling faster due to the fact that the number of new listings is at least at a 15-year low and declining. Now, for some perspective on the median number of days on market, over the previous 10 years, we would expect the median number of days on market to be somewhere between 30 and 60 days. So at 22 days here in November, homes are still selling pretty quickly. Now, if you've seen any of my other monthly market update videos, you know I love talking about the month's supply. The month's supply is how long it would take to sell all the properties that are currently listed if no new listings came on the market and the current buyer demand stayed the same. Now, back in January, we were at 2.9 months, and for the month of November, we're also at 2.9 months. And as a matter of fact, the days on market has truly been rather constant all year. Now, this tells us that in our geographic location, the housing supply is keeping up almost perfectly with buyer demand. Now, the reason this number is significant is that it's one of the best indicators of how the real estate market is behaving. Now, I would consider a healthy, balanced market to have a month's supply somewhere between 3 and 5 or maybe 6 months, but with the month supply at just 2.9 months and the median number of days on market as low as it is right now, we are still in a seller's market. Let's talk about one of the more popular topics for a second, which is the average sale price. Every year, the average sale price tends to peak between April and June, and it is not uncommon for that to decrease 5 to maybe 10% over the rest of the year. Now here in Riverside County, the average sale price peaked at $696,000 in May and quickly dropped to $640,000 in July. Now that's just over 2 months. But since July, it has increased to $675,000 for November. Now this may sound odd, but we often see the average sale price increase in the last couple months of the year, which tends to continue on into the first part of the following year and maxing out late spring or early summer for that year's peak average sale price. Now this is a trend that we see nearly every year, so we'll have to wait and see if this continues through December and on into 2024, especially if there's any more relief with mortgage interest rates. Back in January, mortgage interest rates were in the low to mid 6% range for a 30-year fixed rate mortgage, which generally increased all the way through October. Now in November, we finally saw some decent relief in the interest rate for a 30-year fixed rate conventional mortgage, which decreased by about 0.5%. Now here in the first week of December, as I'm recording this, that interest rate is generally hovering right over 7%. Now, I've been reading recently that the Feds may cut rates multiple times in 2024, and while they don't necessarily set mortgage interest rates, they do tend to have an effect on mortgage interest rates. With that said, I know there is a lot of pent-up buyer demand out there, so if mortgage interest rates continue to decrease, we'll see more and more people jump into the market ready to buy or sell and buy. So if you've been waiting to buy, talk to your lender or reach out to me. I'll put you in touch with a couple great lenders you can interview. And talking to me and a lender now will ensure that you are prepared to write an offer as soon as the timing is right for you and you find the right home. And it will be important to be prepared and be able to act quickly as more and more people enter the market when interest rates do come down. Well, I know I'm going to keep studying the market here in Riverside County, and I'll continue to deliver updates just for you. Now, I suggest you keep an eye on these mortgage interest rates and the month's supply of active listings to give you an idea of where the market may be heading. Well, that wraps up my November 2023 market update, but if you have any questions or need any help buying or selling, give me a call, text, email, or drop a comment below, and I will see you in the next video.